This week, I have been joined by a bevy of people from the Pedal4Parks Impact campaign. Now, the Pedal4Parks campaign is on a mission to protect the UK's national parks. They are promoting the solutions that can help the planet and people through small changes in our own behaviour. So to raise awareness, in June 2021, they undertook a 14-day joggle cycle ride. Now, for the uninitiated, joggle is John O'Groats to Land's End, but when you look at it, it was actually more of a Biothios trip from Bercy in the Orkney Islands to Hewtown on the Isles of Scilly. It doesn't go quite as well as joggle, but hold on, that's over water, so we'll come on to that in a second. We have three of these endurance athletes on the show today. We've got Isaac Kanyon, the founder of the Pedal4Parks campaign and lead, and with the new title of film producer, as we'll talk about in a bit. Alex Pierot. I've got some names here today. Chief Technical Officer for the team and also the film producer. Lukas Haitzmann. Logistics, head of media, world record holder, which I'm going to throw in just because I haven't had a world record holder before. And just to complete the team, but not on the show today, is Sam Montgomery and Alex Egan. I say the team was actually quite huge. Welcome to the show, guys.
Hey.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Russell. Hey.
So I like to ask an elephant in the room question to kick off. And today, I've already alluded to it, started on, ended on islands. This was a cycle trip. How did you do that then?
Right. So we found out about there was this sort of different types of bikes, these water bikes that can cycle across water. So they're essentially a spinning bike connected to two fender floats, crank arms, drive a belt chain, and then that drives a propeller submerged in the water. And once we found out about that, it allowed us to connect the two islands together and extend the joggle. The reason for doing so, there's two reasons. One, it would make it a bit adventurous of such, because there is a few adventurers, world record adventurers in this room, and we like to spice it up. And also the other fact is that it allowed us to incorporate some climate solutions from the Orkney Islands and the Isles of Scilly. Now, Orkney is a very, very renowned place for quite a lot of hub innovation in the renewable energy space. And it's quite an exciting place to be if you're interested in that sort of energy transition, energy hub, new type of diversified energy ways of getting energy. So yeah, that's what happened, and that's why it was there.
Okay, so I mean, you mentioned that climate solutions piece, and the intro to your site is about climate solutions. What do you mean by climate solutions? What were you looking for on this campaign?
Yeah, so this campaign was kind of a bit of an impact campaign where we wanted to see through the noise. There's quite a lot of negative press at the moment. XYZ amount of emissions. Are we ever going to meet the 2 degrees thing? And there's loads of that going on. And we wanted to shine a light on what people are actually doing, what actions are being taken, what pilot projects are out there, what grassroots community projects are out there that are helping people on the planet to reach these milestones, these goals. And they're not just getting the press they deserve. They're not getting the attention they deserve. They're completely drowned out by the negativity. And what we wanted to do was try and use the shiny adventure to put a spotlight on all of the projects, if that makes sense. And use the journey of cycling because it's quite sustainable and eco to do that, to connect each project together. And we hope that with our film that we filmed and a little bit more of our podcast series and journalistic reviews and these podcasts, that we can kind of shine a light on these projects.
Okay, I see. So obviously you did this. This is Pedal4Parks, or Pedal4Parks, should I say? What national parks we got? By my reading, 15 of them across the UK. None in Northern Ireland. Come on, what's going on there? I don't know. It's a beautiful place to be. It should be a national park out there somewhere.
They're looking to make one. They're looking to make one in Northern Ireland. Yeah.
Why do national parks need our attention? Because surely they're protected already.
Yeah, they are protected already, but the pressures of growing tourism, overpopulation, well, we call it overpopulation, but our population is expanding really fast.
Yeah.
The infrastructure levels are increasing. The pressures are increasing in these parks, and these are our most valuable spaces for nature and biodiversity. They have sort of the most elongated green corridors for biodiversity, and with more and more infrastructure being placed in them to feed the tourism aspect, they're under a lot of threat. So we wanted to sort of see how can we work out ways to increase the amount of green spaces, and that was one of our main focuses on climate solutions, was how can we increase green space or protect our green spaces with various solutions, and national parks is fundamental to that.
Okay, all right. So what did it take? What inspired this actually? I mean, perhaps I could throw that to Alex. What inspired you to get involved?
Yeah, me personally, it was same with the other guys in the group, same with everyone else. We kind of felt a bit powerless, like not enough was being done. We all love the outdoors. That's what really brought us all together, and adventures. And we were kind of thinking, we met, we thought, there's so much negativity. You always hear all these big mainstream projects that are destroying this, destroying that, as I mentioned earlier. And for me personally, I think there's not enough outrage out there. There's not enough people who I feel generally don't really care enough. And you're not going to change people's minds through mainstream media, through repetitively doing negative reinforcement. So we wanted to show, just the smaller projects. There's so much out there. And I'm not even British, and I still love, the UK national parks. And I also wanted to discover more of it. And a lot of us on the project hadn't been to a lot of the places we've been to, and we're just kind of bewildered by how much good stuff is actually going on, and just try and get more people involved. So it was kind of, okay, we're fed up of personally maybe not doing enough. So if we come together, work together, we can do something much bigger than if we all individually went and did things. And that's really why we got together.
And what about you, Lucas? Same kind of background, or?
Ish. So I kind of joined the project later, after obviously Isaac and Alex had set it up. I came in as the project started to develop a bit. But when we first started off, I didn't really, I've always loved the outdoors and stuff, but I never saw myself as an environmentalist or someone who kind of, I hated it when people would leave rubbish on the like trails or something like that, but I'd never do it myself. I'd never kind of actively think, let's actually see if we can make a difference or just educate people on it. But then joining the project, and then as the project unfolded, not only kind of getting into a bit more, but also actually seeing how many cool, and as Alex said, how many amazing projects there are out there. I also felt like a bit almost naive, as I like to think I'm a semi-smart guy, but to realize how many amazing projects are out there that I had no idea existed. And so while I didn't necessarily, for me, I really wanted the adventure side of it, because at first it was an adventure, but then it snowballed into such an amazing project, and I think it changed me in a good way, which I quite like.
Oh, that's interesting. So, I mean, that's coming in from a different perspective. Obviously, you expect a lot of people coming from an activism perspective. Did you come in from a perspective of this is another great adventure, because you've done pretty wild, extreme pieces of like rowing across the Atlantic?
Yeah, it was. As I said, I came in fairly early on in the project. We didn't have a film crew or anything at that stage. So we were going to do a cycle for charity at that point, which is kind of right up my alley. I absolutely love that kind of stuff. And then as it kind of progressed, I was like, actually, this is awesome. This is like going somewhere, and it's such a cool project. And actually learning stuff, but in a way where it wasn't, it's not like this typical activism where you're like protesting on the street and setting cars on fire and stuff like that, because that doesn't usually work, and obviously not very environmentally friendly either. So seeing that you can make a change while having a good time and having a laugh and learning new things.
So I quite like that thought of Alex's. There was that kind of positive activism, but still making a noise about about the positivity and not always be about we're all going to die.
Yeah, spot on.
So what did it take to plan this? Rather, I mean, it's a thing with many things, isn't it? You work really hard on like making a meal or something, and in 15 minutes it's kind of gone. You had 14 days worth of challenge to do. What was the route to that 14-day event?
Yeah, okay. I guess it started a year before, where it really kicked off, and just an inspiration. Just I've done quite a few adventures in the past, Atlantic Row and things, and I just didn't feel like I was making a lot of impact. And in the sense that I rode for charity, I raised a bit of money and awareness for charity, but it didn't feel like it was a real big impact that would kind of change things significantly.
Okay.
And that meant we needed a brand, and that was pretty difficult. So we had to start a brand from scratch, and from that we needed, it's like starting a company. So we basically started a business, started a marketing campaign, then we brought on about X amount of sponsors to fund sort of the logistics side of things. So we had to raise about 30,000 in total to pull this off. We had to get water bikes, we had to source equipment, we had to source everything from scratch, from bottom. We didn't have any of this. Some of us had never cycled before. I had never cycled before this project. I had to learn to cycle. I had to learn how to water bike. The rest of the team had to learn how to water bike. I mean, I'm telling you, we started from scratch here.
Sorry, you never cycled before?
Not like road cycling or anything.
Not road cycling, but okay.
Yeah, I mean, I had a bike that I used 10 years ago. Yeah, but
I had this idea of you starting off on training wheels on the back and sliding you through the park and letting you go, sort of thing.
Stabilizers in Orkney, and then slowly got them off when I was in mainland. But yeah, no, everything was a learning curve just from the beginning, from the get-go. There was a lot of people we had to talk to. We then brought in a film crew and a film production team, and then we're managing that alongside the logistics. And then we're trying to connect and combine all of our sort of connections to bring in climate solutions into this project. So a lot of research, working out who's doing what where, and that's digging further than the usual headlines. That's really going into the depths of Google, trying to find things. And then unveiling those things is another whole ball game, getting the permissions. There was incredible amounts of work behind this, and it took a big team. I think our team was about 20 people in total.
Yeah, I mean, if people go onto your website, and we'll put a link on the show page, obviously, to your website, the list of people is, I was scrolling up it going, wow, this there's 5 of them, but no, actually there's like 25 of them actually to do the job.
Yeah, it did. When we start the process, and then we realize, oh dear, we're going to need more people. So we were always chasing tail. So we were doing more work than we could. And eventually, towards when we got to expedition time, right, we had the amount of team where everyone was set and we had everything in place, and it all went very smoothly. But it's just, getting there was quite a challenge.
And right through the middle of COVID, stack a lot.
I mean,
adding that on top. Yeah,
we had so many setbacks.
Yeah.
Many people, marketing budgets. Oh, sorry, we can't do this year because we don't know what we're doing next year. We don't know what's going to happen. Maybe COVID will cancel your project. I'm not sure. Oh, I'm not sure. Sorry. It was like a lot of that. And it was quite heartthrobbing because you're building a film production, and that film team needs, deadlines. They need money at this time. So your pressures start changing, and you're really, really working hard around the clock.
I can imagine. And presumably this didn't keep you sustained personally. You have you all got day jobs?
Yeah. Well, apart from Lucas, he's a bit young for that still, I guess, but he's almost there.
Probably too young for a day
we all
job,
work,
surely.
normal, pretty normal jobs, all of us. I'm an IT engineer. I'll let Isaac speak for himself. And Alex Egan runs a few businesses, and Sal's a pro kayaker, so she's always on trips all around. I'll let Lucas and Isaac share what they do.
Yeah, I'm an energy transition analyst, so I work on data and in trying to work out what was going on with the energy transition and supply that data to lots of different businesses so that they can get to grips with how can they best make an impact in reducing CO2 emissions and things like this.
Oh, okay, right. And Lucas?
So I'm a full-time engineering student, but I do a few little odd jobs here and there. I'm currently in Mallorca, ride leading, so bike related. But yeah, so just kind of mess around a bit.
You didn't row there, did you?
No, not this time. Not this time. I was actually on the water bike over.
Yeah, we wondered where that went. We were looking for that.
Yeah, how did you get that on the plane? Right, so why this adventure? I mean, it was something. This isn't. You called it an eco adventure. So why did you give it that kind of brand, that title? And why not a regular adventure like climbing Kilimanjaro or something?
Yeah, I guess there's a lot of adventures out there where there's quite a lot of, I guess, impact. In fact, it's quite negative at times. You know, you're flying over to go to climb Kilimanjaro, aren't you? You're flying there. There's a lot of emission. There's a lot of things, and you kind of, I guess, go there and take a lot from the local environment. And you hike up there. Some people take rocks. I did once. I'm a geologist. I studied geology, so I took rocks. But I do feel a bit guilty about that. What we wanted to do with this is, with an eco adventure, it's kind of combining an adventurous activity with environmental responsibility.
Yeah.
And educating others on the subject. So it's not a real thing. I don't think it's a real thing. We've just made like a tag, and that's what we do. And we've just branded it as eco adventures. We've just put like a label on it. Okay. But realistically, we're trying to combine environmental responsibility. We need to behave environmentally friendly in our expeditions, and do the best we can to leave as little footprint as well as give back. And through the adventure, I feel that we did that.
Wow. Okay, and on that point, he says, falling over his chair, was this an effective method of raising the awareness for the campaigns for the national parks? Did it work? Have you felt that, had that feedback?
Yeah, definitely, from various businesses. You'll be happy to hear this, actually, because I can see the B Corp logo behind you, and I've listened to a few of the episodes. Know how much you guys love B Corps with Mike. And actually, what we did when we first looked for sponsorship was download the directory of UK B Corps and try and partner with them first of all. Try and get as many similar-minded businesses, and also for interviews, learn what we could from them, and then that really helped. The fact that we were telling them, this is our list of what we're going to do to try and be as eco-friendly as possible on this cycle, because obviously we're cycling, the rest of the crew wasn't. But we had hybrid vehicles for the film crew. We did look into electric vehicles. It turned out to be way too problematic, especially in Scotland. In the Highlands, it's a bit harder. The ranges aren't quite there yet.
No.
Eco products, we had various sponsors who gave us, eco toothbrushes, all the little things, eco sun cream, eco toothpaste, biodegradable, no nasty chemicals in there.
Yeah.
Tried to eat as much local food as we could. We had some very nice sponsors as well who hosted us and gave us food to eat sometimes. We camped. Everyone camped. So some people had never actually camped before, so that was quite fun for them as well. Just because it's this the least harmful way to stay somewhere rather than in a building. So we did a lot of that. We had a carbon offset climate partner we partnered with to carbon offset. Even though we had hybrid vehicles, they still use fuel sometimes. So to offset that impact, offset the impact of the film crew, of everyone joining us as much as we could. So we had an analysis done on everything we couldn't swap out, and then they're basically planting X amount of trees to cover that in the UK, which is great. reused our clothes. I think Lucas did that quite a bit. So a bit smelly, but you know, anything to help. We did have eco-friendly soap. So all those kind of things, you know, we kind of had we looked at as much as we could, we think anyways. And then that really helped, especially when we tried to partner with B Corps. Like, okay, these guys, and they helped us out a lot. A lot of the sponsors were B Corps who gave us these products, which is absolutely brilliant. And you can find them all on our website.
Which is renewable powered.
Yeah, renewable powered website as well. Yeah, thanks to our website host Solve, which is really great. So even our battery packs, you know, came charged by renewable power as well from another B Corp. So I think we did pretty well there. And yeah, going back to the original question, it really helped when we approached similar, you know, B Corps and other green companies to engage in conversation with them. Yeah.
I mean, obviously, as a B Corp ourselves, we salute anybody who's making that activism move to, you know, do stuff that I can't see myself cycling from 1,000 miles from one end of the country to the other. I'll leave that to you younger, healthier, less chubby versions of people. But yeah, it's nice to have a vehicle to perhaps point towards and say, hey, this needs to be highlighted. And it was really that question is do you feel you were successful in highlighting the plight of the national parks?
I think we were. We had a lot of support. We had a lot of donations that came in. We also got mentioned in lots of different places about the national parks. So a lot of the National Parks UK Foundation got quite a lot of awareness out of it so far. We've got our film that's yet to be released, and that's where the real, I guess, awareness maker and impact maker will be. And that's in a couple months.
Let's talk about that then. That's called 14 Days South Over Sea and Land. Yep. By my reckoning. I've got that right, haven't I?
Nailed it.
Releasing on... Well, we've got the premiere on the 28th of October.
Okay.
So in a few weeks, if for anyone listening around this time. And then we've got an online premiere on the 24th of November, I believe, Isaac?
Yeah, that's it.
That's an online, 24-hour premiere with pause.tv. So we'll share a lot of links for that as well.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll make sure we know where that is so that we can share that as well.
Thank you very much. So
you obviously set this whole campaign to produce this film. Is that... Yes. Wasn't it? So the whole idea was to raise funds so that you could produce a film.
Yes.
Can you give me some, what's the juicy, perhaps a juicy bit from the film? What are people going to see in this film? What are they going to learn?
They're going to see kind of a dual aspect. So we tried hard to have about 50-50 education and the other 50 adventure. So we think that mix works really well, keeps people hooked. It's not just droning on interviews, and we've got some really interesting interviews with projects from the national parks and urban town design, for example, that people might not have heard of before. Some really quite just pretty awesome things being done. And we cover, we didn't fit every single interview we did. Our film is going to be half an hour long, so it's very condensed. But hopefully kind of the aim as well is that it gives people a taste to want to learn more. And then they can find out more, contact us, we can tell them a lot more. And just, they can go ahead and research the projects in the film and come to our site, see all the other projects. Yeah. And we haven't actually just got the film, we've got a podcast as well. We're just wrapping up season 1. So that's another way we can make an impact and get a lot more organizations involved as well. It's a lot easier to organize a podcast recording, as you probably know, than getting them to feature on our film in our interviews during a 2-week window.
Absolutely. You were pretty well hammering past my back door over here when you did your thing, but we couldn't actually work out how to meet up. Lockdowns accepted weren't so much of an issue when you did it, were they? So I suppose it wasn't too...
No, we had very good luck.
You're between it. But yeah, it is difficult. What's the name of the podcast?
Mind the Green Space. Oh,
Jinx.
Stereo.
Mind the Green Space.
Mind the Green Space, exactly.
And what do you... So you're interviewing some of the projects on that one again, are you?
Yes,
Yeah.
some of the projects, some of our sponsors, us, some mental health charities like Mind, for example, who Isaac's a trustee of, various organizations. Anyone who, about green spaces and mental health is kind of the gist of the podcast. So
Okay,
there's
so I mean
much to talk
that's
about
an
there.
interesting point, really. Is mental health? So how does that? Was that all part of the need to protect these national parks because they can so benefit our personal well-being?
Yes, yeah, that's correct. Yeah, that's a little bit of a narrative in the film as well. Protecting these spaces is you're protecting biodiversity. We are part of that. We are part of that biosphere, and as humans, we do need nature for our physical, mental health. And I can't imagine being in lockdown for the rest of my life, but for real, urban everywhere and no green space, that would absolutely suck for my mental health.
Yeah, okay. And some of us are very lucky to be sitting in sunshine, I would guess, down there, Lucas.
It is very sunny out here, yeah.
Yeah, okay. We're in no way jealous in this dull fog that we have in the UK at the moment. Everyone else in the UK, aren't they?
Yeah.
So we just all hate Lucas, then that's fine.
Wow.
I hate it with such a cheeky smile.
I'm just
you guys can hate, but I can't hear you over the rain in the background.
So good.
All the people splashing in the pool. So if there was a solution that you came across, have you got a favorite, or that you all kind of went, wow, this is absolutely amazing? Or I mean, pick one each if you feel so motivated to be prepared to share.
Yeah, you happy for us to share one each, Russell?
Yeah, go for it. You start, Alex.
Go on. Up in Orkney, so massive hub of innovation, as Isaac said earlier. There's a research centre called EMEC, so it stands for the European Marine Energy Centre. And basically what they have is kind of a big, almost outdoor lab testing ground for various European projects to come and plug in their solutions. So one of the ones we saw and met someone from is from a company called Orbital Marine. And they have a machine called the O2 that you might have heard of, that they put afloat in the summer. And it's to produce energy using tidal power. So essentially, it's kind of it resembles a bit like a submarine or plane, I guess, in shape from the top. Yeah. And it's got big turbines, a couple, one either side of the main body, that just spin as the tidal power, as waves as the go past, and produces energy from that. And EMEC enables these kind of projects by basically providing connectivity into the electrical grid there. And seeing, going from simulations and from little models, does this actually work in the real world where the conditions are much, so many variables that you can't, even with amazing modeling we have these days, until you've done it out in the real world, you don't know if it's commercially viable, how it reacts, how hard it is to actually deploy it all. So that was amazing. I mean, Orkney itself as well was just quite different. There's it's got the highest rate of electrical car uptake in the UK. It's got a size for it as well, so it's great that the people embracing that as well and leading by example when they can. And actually, like EMEC and those projects, based on a little island, not the mainland one, but a smaller one, a bit further north, and they actually produced more energy recently than they could handle, that their grid could handle. So they actually had like the best problem you could ever have. So they're actually looking at exporting that back to mainland Scotland. Wow. And they have to upgrade their electrical lines. It was like, wow, like normally you hear about projects not producing enough and we're running out, and they actually got surplus capacity. So and they explained it so well. The guys we spoke to up there as well were just so eloquent and really good at communicating in simple terms what they were doing. So for me, that was a big highlight.
Oh, brilliant! Because you can imagine Orkney being quite a nice, because it's large enough to be a good testing ground. It's small enough to not be difficult to capture a whole community, sort of thing. Right. So that's quite interesting. What about you, Lucas? Did you have a favorite project?
I tell you what, it's tricky to choose just one, but I think it's the little thing, or not necessarily little, but I guess highlighting the project. For example, there's there's places that you can like 3D print seaweed, or there were 3D printing seaweed, or like making cups and bowls, and so almost replacing the whole paper plates and plastic cups and all of that with seaweed ones that you can then just throw in the water and they dissolve after 3 weeks. So obviously don't leave your coffee in there for several days, but it's a whole new like industry almost that no one really knows about, because it's quite hard to get it out there, but it's something that could save so much waste and plastic, and is actually a really good solution. So I think I'll have to go with that one for now, but there's loads more that I could ramble on for ages.
Yeah, well, we don't want to ruin it. We want you to go look at your film and watch your podcast. But
exactly.
I like the idea of seaweed, because we obviously live in a peninsula which is partially coated in seaweed. But so I'm really intrigued as to where we can go with that. That cellulose type printing. Yeah, it's brilliant. Okay, and what about you, Isaac? Which would be your highlight?
Oh yeah, I both love those projects. And the seaweed project, the company's called Carrymore, CAR-Y-MOR, and they're based in Wales, in Pembrokeshire. And they established the first seaweed farm in the UK, just for farming seaweed. They went through 3 years of legislation and bureaucracy, and they managed to do it. It was pretty impressive. And Orkney is just quick. I wanted to add that it's got the biggest wind resource potential in the world. Biggest.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So you're going to see it. There's a lot more going on up there. But my personal favorite, I quite liked, I guess, the visual of Vector's group that came to cycle alongside us, and how Mike, who was the sort of director of the company, who came and joined us. He suggested a vision of redesigning and reimagining how we build towns that focused around active travel networks and green space.
Yeah.
And now I thought that was very, very interesting, because one of the frontline issues with our project was the fact that infrastructure and human activity imposes on green space. And I quite liked how he was describing how we can marry together, and how we can connect green corridors through our infrastructure, and just allow it to, allow biodiversity to still be there, and also focus our entire living and society around hubs. So you have your hub in the middle of a town which will have all your groceries, where your letters, the deliveries, parcels, everything comes to, where you go to get some space for work, like office space and things like this. And it promotes that connectivity, community, discussing with each other, which is something that we are missing quite a lot in the way we live now, where we just drive home and go into our houses. A lot of people don't know who's on their street. A lot of people don't have many friends close in the community. Their friends are in different towns and they drive really far to go see them. But this would promote quite a lot of community spirit, which is really good for mental health. And that's very important. And also active travel networks would mean that one would leave less cars on the road, which reduces emissions, reduces demand and things like this. And it also means that people can get into these green spaces more accessible. And then it would be allowed promotion of schemes like cycle schemes and things like that, because you've got a lot of active travel networks that are safe as well. So yeah, I found that really, really intriguing. And it hasn't, well, I mean, they are trying to do it now at the moment, but I think for it to be really effective would be, I guess, anything that's new, to be working on the system and then trying to create some changes in the towns that we already live in. I know that's very difficult to do so right now because everything's already built, but it is really, it's a big shaker.
If I may add something, Russell, as well, that was there were several of the projects we saw that kind of ideas have been there for centuries and we've kind of forgotten about them and we're going back to them again. So like this idea, that Isaac was telling me about, is so true. I've got a friend who's a landscape architect and they still have legislation now. It's car first, and then you add cycle lanes or trees, whatever. If one, there's space left, and two, there's budget. And I mean, this, the idea of having everything in the middle and people meeting. I lived in a small village in France that was from the Middle Ages, and that's how people used to build villages in the first place. And then at some point, we put the car first, and we just made it a lot less, very impersonal. And other projects, we saw another one that was really amazing was a Banff estate in Scotland, and they're reintroducing beavers on their estate for flood management. And beavers used to do that beforehand. That's just what they do.
Yeah.
And then most of them got cold and killed, and now we're actually just going back to how it used to be.
Well, yeah,
them for flood management, that kind of thing. So it was quite interesting. Like
beavers a whole new parcel, Alex, that you said, because the beavers were destroying a lot of the agricultural, which is what. So the farmers eradicated them.
Yeah.
That one's very contentious, but we saw some contentious stuff as well.
Oh, there was definitely some contentious projects.
Oh, but that's the problem. But it's a balance, isn't it? And I think in many cases, what you're alluding to is the fact that we kind of lose balance because we say, oh, it's like with agriculture became intensive because we needed to do intensive farming and monocrops and we've got to do that because the supermarkets tell us we've got to rip all the trees out of our and turn these giant fields, and then if the supermarkets don't want the crop, just plow it back in because supermarkets rule, man. And we've let that happen.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden we go, we kind of lost balance here and now the rewilding and replanting hedgerows and shrinking our.
We spoke to the Lake District National Park Authority, the farming officer there.
Yeah.
She was telling us, she's actually a farmer herself, and she was telling us how they got subsidized to keep planting, having more sheep, more livestock, more. And now they're actually being subsidized to do the reverse and make green corridors and plant more. It's just, the pendulum swinging one way to the other, right? And it's just quite, well, I guess you have to see the funny side of it, otherwise.
Yeah, you get really upset about it.
Exactly, yeah.
The problem with that pendulum is when you take, it's very hard to reverse that take.
It's harder, yeah.
Of course, yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen time and time again where they eliminated wolves from Yellowstone National Park and had a horrendous problem with grazing deer, and so they introduced a pack of wolves and added danger back into the park. All of a sudden balance is returned by like a set of 12 wolves, I think it was. That's all it took. And beavers, they'll probably revolutionize the farming in the area who've probably been spending thousands on drainage at the bottom of the South Field sort of thing. Yeah, I mean, wow. I can imagine it was quite a journey just to pick up from these, because you must have been inspired pretty well every stage of your journey. Every day.
Every day.
Every day was different, and a learning opportunity. Oh, and the amount of people we spoke to as well. I think we must have spoke to about 1,000 different people. It was very hard to switch off, actually.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just insane. It really was. It was it was like the most intensive course that you could ever go on.
Course on the things. And
we just scratched the surface as well.
That's just the UK. I mean, the showcase in the UK is amazing. We're an innovative country. It is good, but across the world, I mean, I've spoken to some brilliant people who are doing some really good stuff, and just clever changing the way their business works to be a little bit imbalanced. And it might be imbalanced with the community, with the ethnicity, with the with nature. It doesn't all have to be about. And you get kind of lost in the CO2 world, don't you? Because everything's about CO2.
Mm-hmm.
It isn't actually. Yeah. Part of the problem is plastic. The other part of the problem is pollution from 10,000 litres of water for every pair of jeans that needs to be created. That kind of stuff is all part of the lack of balance that we've got, isn't it?
That's one thing we wanted to bring out, is that there are a number of things that we need to work on simultaneously, and they're all interconnected. So these, climate solutions for CO2 is not the answer to all of the other mess, right? So having different solutions for everything, and then seeing how you can interconnect and collaborate, that's what we were trying to get, and in the film, like a big spread, because we could have easily focused on CO2 emissions, which is what COP26 has done, and that's, I think you lose quite a lot of everything else, and the bigger picture is lost in that.
Yeah, and so let's just talk about the future. We've obviously got the you're going to continue with the podcast, go into another series of the podcast, are you?
Yes.
Brilliant. And so then you've got the film premiering. Where's it premiering then?
In the Courthouse Hotel in Mayfair between 7 and 9 p.m. on the 28th of October. Memorize that.
Okay, I'll of course you have. Okay, well, I won't be able to make that one, and my invoice must have got lost in the post or something, but that's fine. And then out online November.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we can look forward to streaming that. So yeah, we'll try and get the links off you, so we got in preparation for that launch.
That online one is 24/7. 24 hours. Sorry, so it's a whole day, so you can tune in at any point anywhere in the world.
Brilliant. Okay, we'll look forward to that. And then what's next? You mentioned COP26. We know that's coming up, and is sitting right in Scotland, where you rooted your start of your journey. Are you doing anything with that, or are you? What's your next plan?
Well, we're hoping. We're pretty hopeful that our film, will be shown there. So yeah, we will. Thank you very much. Yeah, if it's shown there, we'll take part and give a talk as well, and promote ourselves and National Parks UK and other projects there. So we're still waiting for confirmation of that or not. And then we'll tour the film, so film festivals. So there's already Kendal Mountain Festival we're in, and then we'll start applying to more. So we're aiming for adventure film festivals, ecological film festivals, that kind of circuit, and try and promote the film there as much as possible. So that's the next few months. And then we start, we're doing speaking. So you can book us for talks, workshops as well. So we've got 3 different offerings, doing an eco and sustainability solutions workshop, kind of distilling a lot of what we've learned to help businesses improve the way they do things. A mental health workshop. So, a few of us have had quite serious mental health problems, and trying to share to others, the hope that being outdoors can bring to you, that kind of thing, the benefits it has, and how, outdoors and purpose and adventuring really can get the best out of you. And the final one, just talking really about the adventure, what we did, the water bikes. Everyone loves to hear about the water bikes. So that's what we're busy on at the moment, Russell, really, mostly.
Yeah.
And then Isaac can tell you even a little bit more.
Yeah, secret stuff in the distance. We're looking to become a community interest company, and maybe even go for B Corp status ourselves, and try and really try and grow the campaign, start a series, maybe go international with this climate solutions and adventure connection. Yeah, go big, right?
Well, yeah, it's no point in keeping your light under a bushel, to quote a very biblical phrase. I don't know where that came from. So before I get on to perhaps testing your knowledge on fact and fake a bit, I'd just like to whisk around the team and I want you to give me one tip that you think people could do right now. Something that somebody, this listener, could just pick up, whether a business or an individual could pick up and go, yeah, you know what, that I'm going to do that, I'm going to contribute or whatever. And then any recommendations you might have for people, other things. Obviously the film, watch the film when it's out, but perhaps there's other things you can look at. Perhaps I could kick off with Lucas. Is that, can I kick off with your thoughts?
Yeah, I think probably the easiest thing to do is just be aware of it. I know that sounds a bit like very simple, but just be a bit more conscious of, okay, actually it does, the little things do make a difference. And if everyone did them, if everyone did one little gesture, that'd be 7-8 billion good good gestures towards the environment. Yeah, so it can sometimes seem like, oh well, it's just one little thing, but if everyone does it, it does add up a lot, both ways, either for the good way or the bad way. But I think just be a bit more conscious and aware of what you're doing. You don't have to you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to live under a rock or in the bushes to be environmentally friendly, but yeah, just be a bit more conscious of, and aware of what you're doing and the impact that it has. It's probably, I know that's a very broad answer, but that's probably my one.
No, I think that I think it's worth reiterating, because people can become. I mean, I think we mentioned it at the offset, is you can become overwhelmed by the negativity of the press. We're not going to hit 2 degrees. You know, it's going to be 2.5 degrees. The seas are going to boil and our eyes are going to pop out our heads. And people got to go, what's the point? I might as well just crawl under the particular bush that you referred to and wait for it to happen. Yeah, make a difference, make a small step. Brilliant. Have you got anything you could recommend? Do you think that we could have a look at or read or consider?
Apart from our podcast and the film,
well, I'm quite happy to accept that as the other two. The other two are going to get challenged because you've taken it.
Yeah, no, I'd just say again, it's a bit of a broad answer, but just like educate yourself. You know, don't always believe everything you see on the internet or online or in the news. Just do a bit of fact checking, and a quick Google will usually answer your question. And there's so much.
Still check your Google as well. Yeah,
exactly. Don't believe everything, but yeah, just educate yourselves and explore. There's so many cool options and things out there. So just do a bit of snooping around, and I'm sure you'll find some great stuff.
Okay, Alex, what's your thoughts on this challenge?
Get involved locally. There's so much going on, especially after 18 plus months of lockdown and being indoors a lot. There's so many community projects. So for example, in my council, in Merton Council, there's sustainability in Merton. Get involved in that, and they do big projects, big campaigns, working with the council, or they do litter picks, small things on the weekend, 1 or 2 hours, tree planting. There's loads of that going around, or not just trees, but just planting, renovating public realms. Council websites are usually very good at listing those kind of communities. Like meetup.com, there's loads on there. And I use that not just for these kind of initiatives, other initiatives as well, other interests that I'm into. If you're interested in it these days, there's a group for it. And surprisingly, Facebook was very good actually for connecting with people. There's all kinds of groups, mostly public access them, and there's actually a lot of engagement still, even though the platform's been around for a while and had its controversies, but it's still a very, very good resource in there. There's local groups, there's bigger groups. And then one final thing I can recommend that I did get into during lockdown is webinars. There's a lot of universities just sharing knowledge for free, and you can ask questions live and get them answered. Various environmental organizations do them as well. So I've been involved in ones about urban mobility and travel. The UN, even the UN, like massive organizations, kind of just invite a professor or someone, and you can ask them a question, which you never, previously it would be quite hard. You'd have to turn up to a forum or travel somewhere, and now and you just type it in, or you ask them on video, and you get answers straight away. Wealth of information out there. But yeah, mostly get outside. It's been a long lockdown for everyone, and you meet people, and it's just so this get involved in your local community. Something I really enjoyed doing, and it has an impact. Selfishly, it's like selfish altruism, I guess, a bit. You improve the area around you, and then other people will start caring, and that spreads.
Well, I mean, going back to what Isaac said about that kind of hub arrangement, I'm very fortunate. I live in Lostwithiel. It's a small town. It's got an active town centre. It's got all the shops I need. So when it came to lockdown, I didn't have to go to a big supermarket. Okay, I paid a little bit more for my meat and I paid a little bit more for my veg, but it was actually, as it happens, supporting local farmers and local producers, and you kind of and okay, you didn't eat quite so much, which is probably not such a bad thing for some people like myself. So yeah, I mean the local bit, I do like the get involved locally. I like that. So that leaves you, Isaac, to pick up, to round that bit up then.
Yeah, I love both of those answers, guys. They were good. I think a lot of people maybe struggle to connect with nature at the minute. There's a lot of distractions. There's a lot of technology out there separating us from outdoors. My top tip is try and reconnect with nature. Things you can do: get outdoors 10 minutes, and then on that 10 minutes that you're outdoors each day, take a look around you. What have you got in your local area? Who is there? What is about in the area? What animals? What biodiversity? Where are the green spaces? Just some people don't really know what's actually out there, and then they kind of rediscovered it during the pandemic when there was like a bit of like, I need to get out of this box.
Yeah,
I'll do my 10-minute, my 1 hour walk a day around the block, and I found this farmer's field that I love. But this is really important in connecting with the message and getting that baseline, because then you start to appreciate these spaces once you kind of utilize them and using them for your own mental and physical health. And then from there, you can start being like, well, actually, I want to do something to protect and help these spaces. And that's where I came from anyway. They were really, really important for my mental and physical health. So if you are having difficulties with your mental health, there's an answer outdoors you could try and see if that works. It worked for me. And that's also a recommendation as well. But the other thing I really liked about Lukas was the fact-checking thing. One thing that you learn at university, especially in your master's degree, is that everything needs to be vetted. Everything you look at, everything you write about, everything you read, you have to go into it, and then you read about it, then you read about it somewhere else, and then somewhere else and somewhere else, and you read the contradictions to it, and then you formulate your own opinion with a lot of data and information. And I think that sometimes can be missed, and people get quite lazy sometimes and just read the first headline that they see and think that's real.
Yeah.
And
there's this thing called the halo effect, and basically you see something on the internet and it's written by Sky News or BBC, and they're trustworthy sources, so you assume it's true. But they're also saying, like wine cures cancer and stuff like that. It's a lot of it is, people sometimes take advantage of the fact that they do have a big status, or not necessarily take advantage, but the public, we can sometimes take things a bit too literally when we see someone with a big name say something, and that's just it, that's fact, but it's not always. And even the best experts get things wrong, and things change and new stuff is discovered. So
don't check and double check your sources on. I mean, it's where we started the whole green elephant. It was eating the sustainability elephant one fact at a time was our tagline. And the whole problem is you got told this story and you kind of went, is that the truth or is it not? And you went and had looked at it, and there was another opinion. And so that's why we end each show on a fact or fake, which is where I'm going to take you now. So I'm going to ask you, and you can discuss amongst yourselves briefly as to what you think. I'm going to make a statement, and you can tell me whether you think I've modified this statement to turn it into a fake or not, and it's a fact. And then on a couple of occasions I've argued with facts on things, because hey, every fact may not be a fact. So fact number one: there are 75,330 national parks worldwide, covering 4% of the Earth's surface. Is that a fact or is that a fake?
A fake.
Wow.
Straight in.
Yeah, no consultation.
Yeah. I mean, final answer?
Oh, sorry. Is that what we're doing? Are we doing? We need buzzing. So I thought we were on that buzzing game thing. Okay, guys, what do you think? Go on.
I don't know. Have you locked that in? Or are we allowed to talk?
No,
I didn't realize that. I thought it was like, you just go for it.
No.
Right,
yeah. No, it's you against, it's you three against me. As what's your collective mind that you think is 75,000 the right figure? Is 4%?
That seems way too high for me. 75,000. Yeah. If you take this, 15 in the UK, there's like 10 in France. That's a sample size of 2. That's pretty good. If you go for an average of maybe 20 a country, there's 200 countries. That still seems a whole factor, a whole what's the word? I've done physics. I should know. A whole order of magnitude. That's the one.
Right.
Order of magnitude
An order
too
of
high.
magnitude or too high.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it's fake as well. I'd say
So fake is what you're saying.
yeah,
It is fake. You are right.
Yeah.
actually.
Fake the wrong way, guys. There's actually 113,000 national parks worldwide, covering 6% of the Earth's surface.
Wow.
no way.
Okay. So
See,
there's more.
Interestingly, so I did a quick Google, and
You see, this is
Fact,
just
yeah, we're not
naughty.
taking anything at face value.
yeah. So yeah, and basically, it's given me like 5 different answers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It just
I
shows
did.
that.
I told you there'd be arguments.
Did you take an average?
Yeah. Well, see, this is the thing actually. The one in bold at the top was 4,000, but then when you like dig a bit further, then that's again the snippets of Google are always, please, if you see like a snippet, where it gives like a highlight, read the article, because usually it delves into a lot more information and gives you the right answer.
Okay, well, fair enough. I think we'll take this up with the National Parks UK site.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so as you said, there's 15 in the UK. What I found was interesting is 6% of the Earth's surface is what's suggested in the fact that I found of the Earth's surface is protected by a national park. I use the word protected obviously loosely because we still deem them to be under threat. In England, it's 9.3% of the land area. Wales, it's nearly 20%. And Scotland at 7.2%. So I thought that was quite interesting that we're kind of above the world average.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. And that we've got that.
Yeah.
So number 2, you one up. See what I can do. So the largest national park in the world, according to my research, is the Great Barrier Reef Marine Park in Australia. Is that a fact or a fake?
That's fake. I think it's called it's something with an E. It sounds similar to Everest.
Everland.
Yeah, something like that, and ever something Zeus or something, and it's like, is there like 200,000 square miles or kilometers or something?
Yeah, but what's the Great Barrier Reef in terms of acreage?
I'm not too sure.
I'm not either, and
I'm so sure I've heard the like Everland or something like something. It's close to Everest because I remember it being like the biggest, and Everest is obviously the biggest mountain. I think, yeah.
Ooh, to be honest, guys, I'm really torn because I know that marine conservation areas can be absolutely ginormous.
Absolutely huge, yeah.
I'm very torn here.
True. And I guess maybe that Everland was just on land, and obviously this is the land's biggest one.
Yeah, and I mean, on land, they're better at dividing things up because there's like clear barriers. Like there's a river that's cut through here. They can split up national parks into different quadrants. I guess in the sea, a reef is just a big, long, expansive, just one thing, isn't it? So, guys, what do you want? Who wants? You want to take a risk?
Yeah, let's vote.
Do you want to go with fact or let's do a vote? Right, I'm going to go with fact. I'm going to go with fact. What are the other two?
Fact.
Yeah, I think it's fact as well, actually, on re-evaluation.
Okay, that's it. It's a great piece of reasoning there, guys. But you're wrong.
Damn it. You were right, Lucas. Damn it. Sorry, I convinced you on the way.
But the one you're mentioning, Lucas, whatever it is, isn't the one I found. The one that I searched, and you're gonna, those people in Hawaii are gonna have to forgive me, but it's the Papahanaumokuikea Marine National Park.
So it is a marine one. Okay.
In Hawaii, and it's basically, you got Hawaii, the main islands, Maui, and that, and then you've got this massive, great big thing that stretches into the Pacific Ocean. It's 1.5 million square kilometers.
That's way bigger than the one.
I was kind of
Massive.
right with the marine thing, but I wasn't right with
Yeah,
the
yeah,
actual
yeah.
answer.
How
Sorry,
long would
guys.
that take to cover on the water bike? I wonder.
Yeah, maybe that could be our next climate solution. How can we clean up the Pacific Ocean at
On the way.
scale?
On a
Yeah,
water
well,
bike.
you wanted to go international. It's in Papua New Kaika.
The Hawaiian one, that one.
That's it. Just quickly though, I mean that's 1.5 million square kilometers. The Great Barrier Reef is the fifth, 344 square kilometers, square kilometers.
Yeah.
Then you got Greenland National Park is number 2. Kavango Zambezi Transfrontier Conservation Area in Zambia, Botswana, Namibia, Zimbabwe, and Angola. So that's 500,000 square kilometers. Phoenix Islands protected area. I didn't even know the Republic of Kiribati. I had no idea who that was. Great, and then the Great Barrier Reef.
Greenland.
Yeah.
I know about that.
And I thought Arctic, and we had the USA kind of pushed the size of the Alaska, of course, which is dwarfed by another USA. But interesting, when the Cairngorms is the largest in the UK.
Yep.
Yeah,
as you probably know.
Yeah.
If you said that one, we would have got that one.
But that is only 4,500 square kilometers. So somewhat dwarfed in comparison to the magnitude of those. Right then, so it's one each. So it's down to the guys, fact or fake. Peat soils alone in the national parks of the UK contain 199 megatons of carbon, which is more than the forests of the UK, France, and Germany combined.
That sounds.
We learn a lot about peatlands.
That one sounds correct, actually.
Yeah, because the peatlands, what was it, like five times
more.
the carbon storage potential compared to trees? And
then that in Dartmoor, actually.
Yeah, but then how much peatland bog is there compared to forest land?
I think it's 5% or something of the UK is
bog.
Is bog, and then forestry is 20%.
So then technically that
maybe even less than that. Peatlands,
but then you've got a video about this, Russell, the other day. I saw a video from Friends of the Earth called 100 seconds in the UK, something like that. And each second is another part of the UK, and they said it was 4 or 5% is covered by peatland.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Agricultural land was the biggest at 20-something%.
But then you do 5 times 5 is 20. You know, your times in it. If it's 5 times more, then so it's more like it's more than trees. In. But with Germany and what was the other country?
Germany's got a lot of.
We got some big.
But do you have peatlands there as well?
Yeah, but I think we're only doing peatlands in the UK, right?
Peatlands in the UK, the fact is, contain more carbon than the combined forests of the UK, France, and Germany.
Oh, right.
Whoa.
How much forestry is in France, Alex?
More than the UK.
Sure. Talk about wanting the win, guys.
No, right. Pulling out all the stops here. Okay. Go on. What's everyone's inkling now?
I feel like it's a bizarre one. It's bizarre enough that it kind of should be true if we're going off just question logic, but at the same time, the numbers are a bit.
I back peatland. Pete's just incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go with the heart. I don't know about you guys.
I think.
Well, I'm up for supporting peatlands over trees, just on an environmental standpoint. I quite like. I'm going with it because I like it as a climate solution.
Yeah, we do still need to restore a lot. So
yeah.
I'm outvoted there anyway.
More's for the future.
Okay, so you're going fact.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yes.
Nice.
Oh yeah, I was. Go on then.
Well, no, I mean it was a massive amount of peatlands. 24% of the UK peatlands are in national parks. Funnily enough, which is where I got the fact again from the UK National Park, and that these peatlands store a colossal amount of carbon, and no matter, and it kind of changes your perspective from planting trees to caring for your wetlands. Is so much kind of 5 times more important.
Well, and it's so much quicker. We found out as well. Tree from seedling. You wait 5-10 years, and then it really starts to have its carbon locking potential. Peatland, so much quicker.
And even quicker than that, seaweed.
Seaweed as well.
Even more carbon store, 20 times.
The whole blue carbon and
carbon.
Amazing. But then we of course can damage that by straight dredge fishing and dragging it all up off the floor of the sea. So it is a cacophony of so much stuff. I really enjoyed researching this. Actually, it was a great. So I don't mind losing because I learned.
What was actually
I think we all won. We learned something today.
Yeah,
we all won.
It's
cheesy. It sounds cheesy. It sounds cheesy, but we all learned something.
We all won together. Yeah. Thanks, guys. That's giving me a pity.
Well, Russell, you can come onto our podcast and we'll have the rematch there.
Oh, right. Okay.
Yeah, should we? That's actually a good shout. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm up for that. I'd love
Round
that.
2.
I'd love to have you.
One more fact that I did find out, which stunned me really, I suppose, and apart from the new Northern Ireland not having a national park, and not, I've been to Northern Ireland a number of times, and why is it not? There's this fantastic area which should be protected, but the first national park was in 1951, being the Peak District. But Scotland didn't have one until,
I think it was like 1980 something.
2002.
I was even later.
I was. That was the one fact I kind of went, what?
I thought maybe that was Wales then.
Number of times that Scotland 2002 was Cairngorms, and then what was it on to the Loch Lomond?
I guess the pressures weren't as high. Their population isn't as high in that area.
I guess so, maybe. But I suppose the urbanisation even in Scotland
it's creeped.
4 million. It's going to start, isn't it? Yeah, and it's nothing. It's not only that. It's not necessarily urbanisation. It could be industrialisation. Taking advantage of peat. As many did, to cut it for fuel or cut it for putting on their gardens and things, which of course we now trying to resist. Guys, that was great fun.
Thank you very much. We really enjoyed it.
It's been great because we talked so long back in the day when we started all this and said, hey, let's get together. So it's absolutely brilliant to get you on the show. And I thank you, Isaac. Thank you, Lucas. And thank you, Alex, for coming on to the Green Elephant Show.
Thank you very much for having us.
Yeah, cheers.
Catch you on the next one.